House Republicans are meeting today to discuss how a new select committee on the attacks in Benghazi, Libya will operate. Democrats have announced they will take part in the committee despite some initial objections. Yesterday, the House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi appointed 5 Democrats to the 12-member panel. Representatives Elijah Cummings, Adam Schiff, Adam Smith, Linda Sanchez, and Tammy Duckworth. Congressman Schiff is also a member of the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. He's joining us now live from Capitol Hill. I assume you were totally on board with Nancy Pelosi's decision, right, Congressman?
I am on board with it. We were certainly united in thinking that the Select Committee was unnecessary, that the questions about Benghazi have been asked and answered many, many times. And we were discussing for a time about the strategy once the Speaker changed course and decided to establish this committee. But we are united again. This is the approach we're going to take. It was felt very important by the leadership that we have people in the room that could make sure that the subpoena process isn't abused, that the witnesses aren't abused, and hopefully that we can try to direct this to something that might be productive, like looking at the security of our embassies now, look at how we're implementing the recommendations of that Accountability Review Board. I don't know if that's where the Republicans want to go. It doesn't appear that way, but we're certainly going to try to steer this in a direction that may be productive.
Because the initial reluctance to join this committee was that it would give legitimacy to the Select Committee, but the other reasons you just explained clearly overruled that concern. The Republicans say their biggest question that they want answered is the President of the United States. What was he doing during those critical hours? Was he directly involved? Was he not directly involved? Do you have answers to those questions? Is that legitimate query material subject that they should get answers to?
Well, I think the Accountability Review Board really went over who had responsibility for the security, what lapses led to the death of 4 Americans. They made a series of recommendations on the basis of that. They looked at how high the responsibility went and made a nonpartisan determination about that. So I think we have had a pretty extensive look at that. But Wolf, what you're suggesting, I think, is exactly what the Republicans want to do, and that is not get to the basis of any new facts, which have already been plumbed time and time again, but see if they can embarrass the administration, see if they can score political points against the president, see if they could raise money off of Benghazi, which is a blight, but nonetheless something that they're doing. It's all about motivating their base, Wolf, and a lot less about any of the actual events in Benghazi
But there are,
anymore.
Congressman, there are legitimate questions that need to be answered to make sure that everyone learns from the mistakes that occurred so that this kind of tragedy doesn't happen again, right?
Oh, absolutely. But, Wolf, that presupposes we haven't had 8 investigations already, and we have. And precisely those questions were raised. Where we are lacking is we got good recommendations about what needs to be done, but there's nobody on that new Select Committee that can tell us where we are in implementing those recommendations. Now, the State Department says they're making progress, but unfortunately, progress isn't often good fodder for a Select Committee. And I haven't seen much interest among the Select Committee members to explore how we can improve security. I've also seen, and this is even more astonishing, very little interest expressed in where we are in the hunt for the people who killed these Americans.
That
has to be a top priority.
It certainly does, because as far as I know, no one really has been called to justice yet for the killing of Ambassador Chris Stevens and the 3 other Americans. Here's a question. I don't know if you have the answer to this. Maybe you'll get the answer. Do you know why Ambassador Chris Stevens was even in Benghazi during those days after there had been other terrorist attacks against the British facility there, against the International Red Cross? So many other international organizations had abandoned Benghazi. Why was he there to begin with?
That issue has been explored, Wolf, and I think that Ambassador Stevens was someone who really loved the Libyan people, wanted to be close to the Libyan people, understood the risks, understood that diplomats can't live in bunkers, wanted better security, but at the same time, he knew to do his job, he couldn't completely live in that bunker. So, we might question that call right now, but frankly, this is a dedicated public servant that gave his life ultimately for his country, and I have to respect the fact that he wanted to be where he was, that he felt it was important to the execution of his mission and his responsibility, and regrettably, we lost a great American.
So that was his decision to go to Benghazi. No one in Washington ordered him to go there.
No, I haven't seen any evidence that he was ordered to go there.
We'll be watching the hearings together with you, Congressman. You think Hillary Clinton will be called to testify?
I don't know. I think if she is, it's a pretty telling indication of what the committee is really about. She's already testified. She's already answered the questions they had for her. If they want to drag her back now with a subpoena, I think it's far more about the elections in the future than it is about any conduct in the past.
Congressman Adam Schiff, thanks very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Wolf.